What's going on, everybody? So I'm back today to talk about a new horror film that was uploaded to Shudder. This is one that I saw a lot of people talking about on Twitter, and I always get really excited when people get so pumped up about certain films. And I read a lot of reviews of this one. Didn't watch a trailer, just read the premise, and it was enough to hook me. And this is one of my favorite things I've watched this year so far, and I could not recommend it enough. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is Hellbender. Hellbender is directed by Toby Poser, John Adams, and Zelda Adams. The film stars Zelda Adams as Izzy and Toby Poser as Izzy's mother. A lonely teenager discovers her family's ties to witchcraft. There's a very brief summation of this film when you look it up online, and I think that's to the film's benefit because this is a wild experience, and I say that in the best way possible. This is a family that makes these films together, the Addams family of all things, and they've made it several films before. I haven't watched any of their other content, but I would be really interested to see what else they've made because this is a really unique piece of film, and I feel like the more I watch it, the more I'm going to love it even more. There's some things in it that I feel like could have been improved on, but for the most part, it's just such an incredible experience. And the performances are all really great, and the cinematography is fantastic, and the soundtrack is spectacular. And I'm going to get into talking about that right now. First thing I want to talk about is the cinematography. I'm a big cinematography nerd, one of my favorite elements of filmmaking, and this movie has some beautiful cinematography. You have this sort of limited space that these filmmakers are working with, and obviously this film was shot, it's seemingly during the pandemic, so it has a relatively small cast. Our two lead characters, Izzy and her mother, are the main focal point of the film. And you have their house, which they live in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of these woods, that they have all of this property. And the mother constantly goes into town without the daughter. The daughter says at one point when she's speaking to this young girl in the film that she has an autoimmune disease and she can't go anywhere, and that her mother wants her to stay at home. And she's homeschooled, and her mom play music together where they put on face paint and they play music, and their music is badass, and I love it, and it's such a unique element into this film. Stories of the family start to come into play, and that is the whole witchcraft element of the film, which is when it really starts taking off and amping up into a direction that I never thought it would go into. Cinematography plays a huge role in that. It creates this atmosphere of where these people live, and there's a lot of surrealist elements into this movie that are just so remarkably done. There's this room in the house that the mother constantly goes into, and you're slowly given information into what's inside the room. It's never explicitly said, and that's what I really like about this film. But when she goes into the room, there's this like inscription on the door outside, and she sticks her hand on it, and an opening opens in her hand, and a key pops out of her hand, and then she puts it in the door to open it. And there's so many cool, unique visual things like that that are done so well, and that's what I liked about it. It's clearly a film that had a limited budget, that they used the budget that they had to their advantage to where it's such a sleek and pretty looking movie that all the visual effects they choose to have work so well. And that's one of them that every time it happened, I was so impressed with the execution of it. And then the framing inside of the house, and then outside of the house, you have these beautiful nature settings outside. And it was clear they had a great place to work with to shoot this film, and that adds to that environment. And I thought that it was just absolutely beautiful. Zelda Adams, who plays Izzy, gives a fantastic performance, as well as Toby Poser, who plays her mother and is her mother in real life. And I think that that's really great because this movie establishes a mother-daughter connection that feels really natural, although what I will say, the dialogue is incredibly unnatural. Most of the film, it feels almost like a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, where the way dialogue is being delivered is so unnatural and strange. And at first it's kind of off-putting. When I started the film, I was like, wow, this is really weird the way these characters are talking back and forth. It doesn't feel like how human beings would interact. But as you continue to progress through the film, it makes more and more sense as to why it is so unnatural. And I think that works to the movie's advantage, because even in the moments of brevity throughout the film, where you have the mother and daughter bonding, although the daughter is having a really hard time understanding why she's being kept in isolation, she goes out exploring one day. And when she goes out exploring, she sees this girl out at a pool, and they start talking, and she realizes she doesn't have any friends because she's never been able to have social interaction with anyone. When she finally goes and hangs out with this girl and her group of friends, and the dialogue that they have together, it's really strange and out of place. Their dialogue as a group of friends is seemingly more normal, and that's what's really great, is it adds to that overall feeling of unease that you really don't have any idea where the film's going to go. And by the third act, I was really impressed as to how they executed it. And I thought the ending of the movie was phenomenal. Like I said, the soundtrack's really great. It's this really like grungy music. The mom plays a bass, and Izzy plays the drums. And it's really great. It just has this really raw and powerful sound, and the music fits perfectly to the tone of the film. I think that the movie flows perfectly, and that music really creates that atmosphere. And what I like about it is it's a really unique way of showing this bond of mother and daughter. When Izzy finds out about her family's ties to witchcraft and learns the abilities that she can have, watching their bond as mother and daughter grow, and the problems that arise through that, the positivity that goes between the two of them at that point. That was my favorite part about this movie, is it's such an interesting mother-daughter relationship. And that's the focal point of the film. The other actors in it are really great, but they're only small roles to really get you in the headspace for the payoff of the relationship between this mother and daughter. And it's just a really phenomenally executed movie that makes you feel really uncomfortable. And if you have a Shudder subscription or the ability to get this film, you need to watch it. It's one of my favorite things I've watched in 2022. I think it's really well shot, well acted, and it's one that I'm going to watch again because I think it's definitely worth your time. So have you seen Hellbender yet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was excellent. I was really surprised at how incredible it was, not hearing of these filmmakers prior, and it's one that I look forward to seeing again and watching the filmmakers' other work. As always, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot. Lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting new videos out. I've got plenty of content planned for the future, and I look forward to getting it out there for you. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.